Welcome to Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. This podcast delivers insights on what makes businesses, teams, and people successful based on real-life business experiences. Following a career with America's largest associations, JP Murray founded the Murray Company, one of Washington, D.C.'s most successful consulting firms. The company was acquired successfully and enabled him to launch JP Murray Racing, a business development and sponsorship agency for auto racing teams. Here is JP.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next Push to Pass podcast. I'm preparing for the next big squeeze. I'm getting ready for it. I'm listening, I'm watching, and I'm learning. For more than a decade, despite the pandemic, the economy's been pretty darn resilient, right? I'm not here today to predict the next recession, but I'm here to predict your need to improve because something's going to shift right now because we see some major things happening. First, Web 3.0. It's affecting the way that we're going to be doing business transactions in the future. I'm anticipating some big things. You can see it right now. We should begin a number of improvements. Study of blockchain, alternative financial models. Here's why. The market is moving that way. My question is, when will organizations and associations like I'm used to working with, when will they begin accepting membership dues or annual conference registration in Bitcoin or other formats? When will they begin offering an association NFT and provide a pass with the annual conference connected to that NFT? And then if somebody wants to sell that NFT to someone else for maybe even more value because the association conference is sold out, when is that kind of dynamic going to start? My sense is it will be happening sooner rather than later. So I'm spending a little bit of time each day learning about the blockchain, alternative financing. I'm trying to build my capacity in that area, as well as my old part of business, which is sales and business development. Man, this is really changing, and it's probably shifted, but I was moving so fast I wasn't thinking about it enough. And here's what I'm working on. Number one, it's listening. Now, I know that you've probably been in sales training before that has told you that listening was so important, and you kind of, yeah. And then you kept doing things the same way, and that's the way I was. And when you get paid to speak, which is actually what I thought people wanted me to do, to give presentations and make speeches, provide coaching insights, there's a lot of talking and probably not enough listening. I'll give you an example. Today, I'm doing a podcast, I'm delivering a speech, and I'm having a coaching session, all of which are about me talking, and I'm not listening well in any of these formats. Now, there are some smart people, like I said, that can do those things, but I've got to train myself to listen more. It's a way of watching what your prospects are doing online, what their companies are doing in the marketplace. Being very familiar with what the market is doing is what I'm talking about, and that is a form of listening. The second thing, I'm thinking about movement. Too many times we were in sales by flipping people, or that's what we thought. We're going to move them from no to yes. But it's more about perception, knowing what is needed, listening, and moving the prospect stage to stage to stage and getting them to go along with you on that journey. And then finally, it's about perception of yourself and the prospect. I can tell you, I'm trying to work very hard in knowing the product and believing in what I'm selling because that makes me better, it makes me more buoyant, and frankly, gives me the energy to have more velocity. But I also want to take that perceptive nature and apply it to the prospect. The prospect is certainly not in a professional vacuum. Even if they are a decision maker, there are a number of components that move them effectively. Some of it's budget, some of it's timing. This is so much more than old school selling. Dialing with a script and saying the same thing no matter what happens, or having a scripted response to a rebuttal. This is much more nuanced, intelligent. It's more about movement and, frankly, partnerships. I want to talk about the change in the job market. If the job sucks, no one is going to work for your company or your industry. Think about what is happening in many service industries. The jobs have not fundamentally changed for a long time, and the workforce is saying with their feet that this is an antiquated job. You don't pay me enough, you don't provide me flexibility, the job doesn't offer it, and fundamentally the work may not be enjoyable or invigorating or inspiring. Nobody wants it, and it isn't the workforce fault. Just because you have an opening doesn't mean that there are people that have to fill it for you. So in many ways, the job market has similarities to customers. So let's say this feedback was coming to you. You're getting feedback on price. The value for the money wasn't there. Secondly, the customers were leaving and you could not replace them. And third, you had very little flexibility to offer the service. To quote the Saturday Night Live skit, no fries, chips, no Coke, Pepsi. And if all those things were happening in the market, you would likely change your services or the business would suffer or die. Now, the market is all that matters, and now employees are really part of the market. So if you won't change the job, the employee market won't come to you, and your business will suffer or die. So yes, the big changes are coming in the job market, in the way you present your opportunities and sell them, and in the way we transact business. These are massive. I think it's worth time right now to study it, to listen, to be intelligent about how you're going to move forward. And I wish you the best doing it. Hey, friends, I cannot wait to chat with you next week on the Push to Pass podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. If you would like to sponsor Push to Pass, send an email to jp@jpmurray.com. Follow JP on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. His website is jpmurray.com. Until next time, push yourself to pass the competition. Thanks for listening.